Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to speak today in English. It's a middle language between Arabic that half of you understand and French that the other half understands, I imagine. I also would like to thank very much your attendance, His Excellency, Her Excellency, the Director of UNESCO, Madame Bokova, a friend of Saudi Arabia and a friend of the Arab world, and want to assure her that she does very much have serious partners in our part of the world, I speak for Saudi Arabia, in terms of preserving, protecting, and enjoying the heritage of our country. I also want to confirm to you that my work in the heritage area, convincing people in village by village, house by house, most of the time, mayor by mayor, is far more difficult than going to space. But I can also report today that the breakthroughs that we see in Saudi Arabia today are absolutely massive and comprehensive. I believe there has never been such a comprehensive program ever undertaken by a single country to bring out its culture, to preserve it, to rebuild it, to realign it, and to introduce it to the hearts of the people like we're doing today in Saudi Arabia. I come today privileged in the sense that I have the support of my king, King Abdullah, the custodian of the two holy mosques, and his crown prince, His Highness Prince Shalman bin Abdul Aziz. King Abdullah has asked me as part of my mandate to look over the culture of Saudi Arabia, the heritage of Saudi Arabia, is to completely take this section or the sector of our lives into the next level. We presented the King Abdullah Initiative for the heritage of Saudi Arabia, which he approved within a very short period of time. This initiative, the King Abdullah Initiative, is really far beyond construction, although it has under its umbrella more than 5 billion Saudi riyals over the next 3 years to rebuild the museum system, to build tens of new museums, to restore tens of villages, and to reclaim, completely reclaim the center of 15 towns in Saudi Arabia, including Riyadh. Some massive projects that are joint ventures with the private sector, joint ventures most importantly with the local communities. Today we're restoring villages where the local communities are coming, 100, 200, 300 people, the owners of these beautiful villages, and being financed by the government, supported by the private sector, creating the new heritage hotels in Saudi Arabia and so on. Heritage to us is very important, and I'd like to borrow two things. I'd like to borrow from a speech I made at the Oxford University about 3 days ago regarding a conference called Green Arabia. You can see that on the internet and see the depth of the Saudi culture and how far it goes, and the mission in front of us over the next few years to really tackle this major country in the sense of its history and heritage and antiquities, and the challenge ahead of us to rediscover and to discover Saudi Arabia, and to work with the tens of archaeological teams from all over the world, and to work with UNESCO experts to really work on these different projects. And also I like to borrow from the speech in the sense, the way I thought about things, why is it important for us in Saudi Arabia to care for our history, to bring it out and to introduce it to the general population, but especially the young people of Saudi Arabia in a massive program with the Ministry of Education. When we look at Saudi Arabia today, everyone knows Saudi Arabia, of course, is the seat of Islam, is the where the Muslims of the world face 5 times a day. But to understand Islam really in its more important dimensions, you have to understand the history of Arabia before Islam, we believe. And you have to care and preserve the sites and discover them that will indicate how complex the history of Arabia was as the center of many civilizations, literally the world civilizations of the eras, and why Islam as a religion launched from this very particular important strategic geographic location in that very particular time, more than 3,000 years after the Prophet Abraham, whom we believe as Muslims as the father of all religions. So in the sense, to understand Islam, how Islam launched from Mecca. Mecca at that point was literally the only standing economic power and political power in the Arabian Peninsula after the disappearance of many of the kingdoms and many of the civilizations that crisscrossed Arabia and settled in Arabia. In fact, we believe now with the Green Arabia project that civilizations did not just crisscross Arabia as a transit point, but actually settled in Arabia and launched from Arabia. So we have lived an incredible history. In a sense, we believe that we are the custodians of a great history spanning thousands of years, as indicated by discoveries and antiquities and historical data. So in the sense that Islam shines even further. To understand Islam, this great religion that has spanned the world, that have had the greatest expansion ever until today, Islam is one of the fastest growing religions, a religion like this must have had its own built-in energy. And that great religion could not have launched from any place except a very important place in a very important time. To understand Saudi Arabia as a great world economy, a member of the G20 nations, to understand it as a nation that is very much involved in peace issues, in dialogue issues, and so on, you have to understand that these issues don't come from a void. They come from a procession of cultures and civilizations that have lived in the Arabian Peninsula and crossed it, as like today. Saudi Arabia today is really still the crossroads of ideas and civilizations and of dialogue and, of course, of development. I said at Oxford University that the mere suggestion that we became wealthy because of oil is really a non-valid suggestion. Because what we're discovering today, the wealth that we're discovering underground in Arabia, the incredible treasures, indicate that we have always been wealthy, borrowing from the French language, which I understand a lot more than I can express. And I need to work on that, I think. I said we are really not nouveau riche. We are not rich because of oil. We have always been rich, we have always been wealthy, but also, more importantly, we have always known what to do with wealth, like we do today. Saudi Arabia today is one of the fastest growing nations in the world, fastest developing nations, and rich in the sense of its own people. The very same people that traded and protected the trade caravans that crisscrossed Arabia are the very same people today that are protecting the wealth and the prosperity and the development of a great country and a great civilization. I would love to say some of the same things that Your Excellency said in French, and I did understand, I would say 90% of what you said because of my language, but I'd like to borrow what you said pretty much to the letter and insert it in my speech. So you spoke on behalf of all of us and very much appreciate the kind words you said, and hopefully, as you indicated today, you'd accept my invitation to come and speak in our Heritage Conference in the mountains of Saudi Arabia, where we've never been before. So thank you very much for your kind attendance, and I thank the people that came to greet you today, especially my friend Ziad Idris, who's been a lifetime friend and been a soldier supporting us with UNESCO, and I wish you a very good day. Thank you very much.